On September 21st, my children were picked up from Step by Step Montessori School in Brooklyn Park by my husband. Upon picking them up and walking them to the car, my daughter informed my husband that a little boy spat on her arm. So my husband goes back into the building to ask for her teacher, who then came out and instead of answering my husband's question directly, addressed my daughter to ask her why my 5-year-old daughter didn't tell her about the incident. My husband kind of persisted to say, "Hey, can you address me? I'm asking you what happened, where were you, why were you not aware of this situation?" Instead of responding to that direct question, she, then proceeded to say, "Well, I asked them not to sit next to each other, and these are 5-year-olds. We've had situations happen with the same boy, so we've asked that our children be separated from this child unless they're being directly supervised." And so when my husband asked her why were they not separated, and why were they not being directly supervised if they were sitting next to each other, she then said that she told them not to sit next to each other. But these are 5-year-olds. And so by this point, my husband is a little frustrated. Mind you, he's not yelling, he's not screaming at her, but he's turned because this lady is not responding to his questions about his child getting spat on by another child. And as he's trying to get to the bottom of this situation, she then proceeded to talk to him about our other 5-year-old, they're twins, having to get a Band-Aid because he got a cut that day. Still not addressing the situation, the spitting situation. So, at this point, my husband is like, "Well, we've asked multiple times for this child to be separated. This should be the last time that we have to ask that this child be separated from our children, unless they're being directly supervised." Not at no point during the conversation did she provide a solution. Turns out she was cleaning up the room, and so my husband is like, "If you're cleaning, then you should have pulled someone in to supervise the children while you were in the process of cleaning up." He left very frustrated without a resolution, of course. But in no way was he screaming in her face, yelling at her. So the next morning, the school director, Sandy Persinski, calls my husband to tell him that after having a discussion with the teacher and the school leader, she has come to the conclusion that our children's last day would be that following Friday, because my husband was abusive to Miss Katie, the children's teacher, and she felt scared and threatened. And then she proceeded to inform my husband that this is the second incident that they've had to talk to him about his abusive behavior. None of that happened. My husband has never had a conversation with no one at this school regarding him being abusive, him having any type of conversations with any of the teachers at this school. But for them to literally go out of their way to lie about a situation that never happened in order to suspend our children, and at no point did any of them say, "Okay, let's have a meeting and discuss what the resolution for this could be." Instead, they punish our children for a frustrated father. And then they proceeded to tell him that our children are not really reliable sources. And so just to avoid any type of situation like this happening again, our last day would be Friday. So it's been a really frustrating couple of weeks. Just handling and navigating this whole situation. Like, the saddest part for me is to kind of, in the car this morning, my son, the 5-year-old twin, said to me, "Mom, I miss all my friends at Step by Step." And he's 5, and we haven't really told them anything about what happened, why they're no longer going to this school. We just told them Mommy and Daddy are trying to find them a different school, something that's better, more fun for them. Just, we don't want them to have that negative connotation or trauma. As Black babies, they have enough trauma that they have to go through in life. And so, he was like, "Mommy, I miss my friends at Step by Step. Do you know why we're no longer going there to Step by Step?" And I said, "No, why? Why are you no longer going to Step by Step?" And he said, "Well, because when Daddy was trying to have a conversation with Miss Katie about ABC child spitting on Ayana's arm, Miss Katie was talking to him about my Band-Aid, and he wasn't listening to my father." And at 5, him being privy to the conversation as this conversation was happening, you don't really realize how much they're absorbing and how much they're taking in. But he at 5 can recognize that this teacher was not addressing his father's concern. And so his conclusion, because that was their last day at the school, his conclusion was that they're no longer going there because the teacher wasn't listening to Daddy. But yeah, it's been a stressful couple of weeks. I was literally really angry. And to put, icing on the cake, Amy Hill, the school leader, to lie on my husband and tell her bosses that she's had to have a conversation with my husband about his abusive behavior in the past. Like, okay, show us the proof. When did that happen? So Step by Step Montessori school in Brooklyn Park, not okay. One of the most disappointing part of this whole situation is the teachers that I thought I kind of got to know and built a relationship with over the past 2 years just stood by and didn't say anything and let this happen. White people kind of can just live in their privilege and not step up to actually speak up when they see things that's wrong happening. So yeah, I had to address it because, for my husband, he doesn't want me to address it because I'm a small business owner, and he feels like talking about the prejudice of these white people might actually affect my business. Like, how unfortunate is that they're the ones that were not fair. They're the ones who lied, but he's worried about me losing business because of the injustice of being racially profiled, being a Black man, parenting, so he's angry. If he's frustrated about his child and a situation that happens at school, he has to be an angry Black man, a threatening Black man, and this white lady has to be scared for her life. And so instead of addressing the situation in detail and having a meeting, they expel our babies. Not okay.